It's Monday. It's 1 o'clock on November 24th and 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and this is Marketing Live. Today on Marketing Live, we're going to be talking about working with faculty as partners in marketing, recruiting, and a handful of other areas, and pretty much every way that we can get faculty involved in what we do. I'm your host, Tim Jones. I'm the Associate Vice President of Marketing at Clarkson University, broadcasting here from beautiful Potsdam, New York, where it is unseasonably warm. Thanks for tuning in today to Marketing Live. Marketing Live is part of the Higher Ed Live Network, a series of professional development web shows and podcasts which are always free and accessible to you in the archives at higheredlive.com and on iTunes. Be part of our broadcast by tuning in live and sharing your insights, insights and questions using the Higher Ed Live hashtag on Twitter. You can receive weekly updates with live show dates and times by subscribing to the Higher Ed Live newsletter also. Higher Ed Live is produced by M. Stoner, a marketing and communication firm that works with educational institutions on branding, strategy, web design, and more. Let's stop using PDFs and start getting smart with online forums. Learn more about the challenges higher education faces putting forums online and see some real-world success stories during M. Stoner's complimentary webinar on December 2nd. Well, we'll tweet out a link in a little bit to show you where you can sign up and register for that. And today's show, of course, would not be possible without the support of M. Stoner, support of Clarkson University. Marketing Live is sponsored by FormStack. FormStack is a robust online form building solution. With an intuitive drag-and-drop interface, the platform makes it easy for marketers to create branded, mobile-ready web forms without writing code. Build donation forms, contact forms, event registrations, and more with the web's only 508-compliant form builder. Publish your forms and leverage FormStack's social media plugins to maximize your traffic. With in-app analytics and integrations with popular marketing tools, you can get even more out of your captured responses. Visit www.formstack.com to learn more about the ways FormStack can double your response rates. So again, this is Marketing Live. I'm your host, Tim Jones, and today I'm joined by Melissa Calder. Melissa is the Associate Director of Media and Communications at St. Joseph's University. So welcome. Thank you for being here, Melissa. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you, your job, and what you do for St. Joseph's?
Sure, thanks for having me. So yes, I'm the Associate Director for Media and Communication, and I work in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions here at St. Joseph's. So I am the liaison for admissions and marketing and communications.
Oh, excellent. So you work kind of in between the worlds, huh?
Yeah. I don't know who I work with more, the people in admissions or the people in marketing. So I think it's pretty even.
That's a good strong alliance, though. Those are definitely intertwined functions in the university world. So today we're going to talk about faculty, and I've been lucky to talk with you a little bit before about some of the innovative things that you guys are doing there, working with faculty. But I think it's an interesting topic for a lot of reasons. I think the title of the show is Working with Faculty, and I think that with is the key word, given that for the nearly 14 years I've been in higher ed, various and sundry people have described faculty in different ways. I'll leave some of the more inappropriate ones out, but faculty have been called difficult, challenging, frustrating. But regardless, there's always been a pretty clear divide between the administrative side of that house and the academic side of the house, particularly when it comes to marketing and communications. Still a lot of suspicion around what we do in marketing and communications. And I don't know that that's true everywhere, but I'm guessing that there is some sense of that where you are too. Has that been your experience?
Yes, certainly. I've worked in higher ed for about 10 years now, and at the other institution that I worked at, I worked very closely with faculty. So then when I got here, I really wanted to carry that relationship, the relationships I had with faculty, because I know how important it is, because what they're doing in their classrooms and the innovative things that they're doing is really going to help me in my job and market to high school students. I really wanted to bring that here and enhance those relationships, and so I've been going to chair meetings and meeting with faculty one-on-one and giving them tips to help market and recruit.
Excellent. Yeah. So how does that work? How does that work when you have this sort of pre-existing notion that academics and administrators shouldn't be spending too much time together, or maybe not going to benefit from one another, or from that interaction may not be particularly beneficial on one side or the other? I know that there's a sense that sitting in on department meetings or faculty meetings or dean's meetings isn't necessarily particularly relevant to marketers all the time, and I disagree with that. But I'm just curious, how do you get past that initial sort of us and them idea?
Yeah, well, I always make sure to let them know that I know that their number one priority is the pedagogy of the students, and that I know that that's what they care about the most. I know that that's why they're here, and I just try and educate them and show them ways that we can take what they're doing in the classroom and the pedagogy that they're doing in the classroom and how to turn that into a story that we can then market to our outside audiences. So really, I think it's really about building the relationship and showing that I'm in it to help them and give them tips and tools, and really not putting work on them, but just asking for collaboration and stories and examples that I can use in my work.
So oh, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I think the majority of faculty get it. There certainly are some that they don't want any part of it. They're too busy as it is doing their research. But I think as long as I explain to them that I'm not putting more work on them, I just want ideas and stories from them.
Right. So how does that? Because I know that's a common frustration and an obstacle is the idea that we're just adding work and we're just demanding things from faculty and not providing any kind of return as marketers. And I think that certainly there are some who've been guilty of that, just saying I need stuff from faculty, I'm not going to help on any front. So you mentioned providing tools and resources and tips. Where do you find that's the most effective? What kinds of things are you offering?
Yeah, so in some of these chairs meetings that I've presented at, I give them about 5 services, I'll call them, that the Office of Admissions can provide them. So those 5 services are usually, we'll do a social media training with them, because some of our departments do want to be on Twitter and do want to help recruit themselves, and so we offer a social media training. We also offer to send a letter to admitted students for them. So any admitted students that have expressed interest in a certain major, the faculty member will write it, and then we will actually pay for the mailing of it and things like that. We also do a major brochure that our marketing and communications office will write, and then we make sure to distribute as needed, both externally and here at open house events and things like that. Email marketing, we will do some emails for them at the admitted student stage with some key facts of content that they give us to promote out to admitted students as well. And I think that's the majority. We do some other mailings for them here and there. And things like that. Oh, I'm sorry. There is the 5th one is our blog, our admissions blog. We help them coordinate a written blog and promote it at the correct time. If they're having an event, we'll promote it when they're having the event, things like that. So we'll coordinate calendars.
So it sounds like they're pretty involved at every stage of recruitment then. I mean, at least in terms of the outreach pieces.
Yeah, I think they're definitely, as the admissions funnel works, it starts off very large and then it narrows down, and so we definitely want them more involved at the narrow phase of the funnel. So at our admitted students days and things like that, when our admitted students are here on campus, we want them involved and doing presentations, and they usually want to really be involved at that point and cultivate those relationships. But this year, for the first time, we had the faculty get involved by making phone calls to students that were registered for open house. So any student that was registered for open house that had a major of interest marked next to them. So for example, say the student was interested in psychology, that faculty member, the psychology faculty member that was chosen to make the phone calls would get that list, and they would call and say, we're going to be at open house, we'd love to meet up with you. So the relationships, the faculty-student relationship is starting at the inquiry phase.
Uh-huh. That's really cool. So how many faculty you have involved? I mean, is it just sort of like a core group of highly engaged faculty, or does it spread around a little bit, or how does that work?
Yeah, so here at St. Joseph's, we're split into two colleges, and we have the College of Arts and Sciences, and we have the Hobbs School of Business. So because of the way that the world is right now, the business school doesn't need as much help recruiting. The students out there are pretty well aware of what business is, and you know, the messaging that they are getting is that if they major in business, they will automatically get a job. So that area doesn't need as much help. So the College of Arts and Sciences faculty are very much more involved because majors such as English and psychology and sociology and things like that, their student numbers are not as high as they once were. And we have strong programs in those areas, and so we have what we call a core group of faculty in our pilot program. So what we're doing with all of these efforts is a pilot program, and we have about 10 faculty in that program right now who are very engaged, who have actually come to admissions to ask for help with recruitment, and then we kind of came up with this communications plan that they can help us with, and that would help them.
So do you see, are there more and more faculty wanting to take part in it, wanting to participate, or is it sort of still too young to know?
I think it's a little young. I think the original faculty did come to us, and so they really wanted to get involved and really wanted ideas and wanted to do some things. But then we took, when I went to the chairs meetings, from the result of that and explaining what we're doing with the pilot program faculty, we got more faculty that wanted to be involved. So it's slowly growing. We're not really approaching more people and saying, hey, do you want to do all this with us? It's more gradual, people finding out and wanting to be interested and coming to me, and then we have an internal communications plan to this pilot program faculty group. So we have a schedule of emails that we actually send out to them each month.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So excellent. So we've got a couple questions on Twitter already, so appreciate everyone tuning in. And again, if you have questions for us, use the hashtag HigherEdLive. And so first question is, do you separate admissions from other enrollment services with regard to social media, or do you combine them?
What do you mean by other enrollment services, do you think?
Maybe student...
financial aid and things like that?
Yeah.
So here at St. Joseph's, our admission counselors are also first-year financial aid counselors. And as far as when faculty are involved, no, we're not asking them to help us with financial aid so much, but we do give them general knowledge about links and FAFSAs and deadlines and things like that, so that they can communicate that out if they need to.
Excellent. Okay, so very cool. So it's a little bit of education and a little bit of hand-holding where needed, but not necessarily too much.
Yeah. We definitely, help. We give them templates and some calls to action to hit when sending out emails or making phone calls, but generally we want them to have as natural a phone call or conversation as possible.
So I want to look at that a little bit closer. So with social media, with
Yeah.
what you're doing with faculty, you mentioned some training for faculty who wanted to be on it. How much control do you turn over, or is it mostly independent faculty? Is it department level? Is it on behalf of the university?
Yeah. So typically it's at the department level.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, I think it was last week, a couple weeks ago, we had a training with a program on campus. And so they were going to tweet out as that program. So it was an official account of the university.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of training do you offer for faculty who are just getting started, or how do you want them to use it for the most part?
Yeah, so we we basically went over, how Twitter works.
Mm-hmm.
So the general training that we would give anyone, and then we gave them a list of great handles around the university to follow,
Mm-hmm.
and then we also give them some content, and also encourage them to retweet us or retweet the universities, because we have the admissions handle, and
Mm-hmm.
the institution has a different handle. So, and we teach them tools like TweetDeck or Hootsuite in order to track certain key phrases that they might want to follow and respond to. So if they're looking for women that are interested in the sciences, if they're a natural science major, then we gave them some search terms and taught them how to search that and find people talking about that topic and how to join that conversation on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. So how's that working out? I mean, are you seeing more and more maybe that personal connection that you're going for with the students, between faculty and students, or are you seeing more interest in the university just based on those conversations?
I do think it's too early to tell.
Okay.
And as many universities struggle, we struggle with keeping track of analytics, and so that's an area where we are working on, and we do have the faculty report back to us what they've been doing as far as phone calls, email, mail, and so we track all of that. But social media, again, is hard to track, but we have had some faculty members give us examples. We had the political science department was tweeting about an event, and they did have some students inquire about the university to them directly on Twitter.
Oh, excellent.
So it's happening. I just don't know how much, and we need to figure out, how to track it better. That's for sure.
So you mentioned that faculty report back about their sort of activities. Is that specific to what they're doing related to recruitment?
Yes. So because the one rule of thumb that we do say to them is that we'll provide you the list and the targeted list of the people to contact and who would be best to contact, as long as you let us know what happened so that we can track that. We use Salesforce. Mm-hmm. And so we pull our reports from Salesforce and send it to them, and then they'll send it back as to yes, it was a voicemail, or yes, had a conversation, or no, didn't reach at all, no, number not good, and then we will put that back into our data.
So I'm curious how that's going, getting faculty to use Salesforce. Did I hear that right?
Well, they're not actually using it.
Oh, okay.
We have someone here on staff who is quite the expert at Salesforce, and so they pull the list and they send them to faculty, and then faculty send essentially Excels back, mm-hmm. and then we import that back into Salesforce. So no, we don't have faculty using Salesforce yet, but we are in discussion in getting them a general faculty login so that they could pull their own reports. Mm-hmm. But I don't see that happening until next year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So are you holding faculty accountable for those reports? So, I mean, imagine looking at it, you're saying, you need to step up your game in recruiting, or how does that work?
So, no, we're not hunting or chasing them down, but we do. Generally, this is just to the pilot program faculty, so they are very interested, so they're getting back to us without a problem. There have been a few times where we've had to, follow up with them and say, what happened? Did you not get to this? And usually it's like, if you did not get to this, that's okay, but maybe next time. And we give them deadlines and things like that. And yes, there's a lot of follow-up, and yes, it is time-consuming, and we do have a staff person here in the office that's dedicated to doing this, not full-time. They are an admission counselor, so they have a lot of other things going on, but this is part of their responsibility to make sure to get this stuff from the faculty.
Yeah, that's I guess probably a very interesting conversation, and one that requires a little bit of a delicate balance in terms of demanding things from faculty and holding them accountable for what you could almost say are non-faculty activities normally. So I think that's pretty cool. It's good that you're doing it.
There is no demanding happening. There's simply asking, and this will help type of conversations. Yeah.
So are you hearing back from the faculty that are involved in your program? Are you hearing positive things from them saying, this is I really do feel like this is making a difference. It's going to dramatically impact the complexion of the incoming class and what it's going to look like, and how the quality of the students that we're getting is going to be positively influenced? Or do you kind of have to walk them through those connections?
Yeah, I think again it's a little early, but I think that I think they're happy to get these lists. They're happy to feel like they have a little bit of control in contacting these students. There have definitely been instances of them reaching out to the student before open house and then actually connecting at open house, and then developing this relationship. But I can't, since we just started this in September, it'll be very interesting to look at this data and see if it did indeed have an effect.
So I think it's interesting that you're using faculty in the recruitment process for undergraduates. I know here at Clarkson we heavily involve faculty in the graduate recruitment because it's mostly the draw for a lot of graduate students is, of course, who they're going to work with and who they're going to study under. And that personality and that sense of individual is very, very important in the graduate process. Do you see that becoming increasingly important in the undergraduate recruitment as well?
I certainly do, yes. And I mean, I've read things and know that statistics say that 95% of a college choice is based on, does the college have the major that they're interested in? So, I mean, yes, we all know it's a number of things of what goes into the. Oh, that's the wind. I don't know. Could you hear that? Probably was louder here. So we know that a lot of things go into the college decision, but if you're looking for engineering and we don't have engineering, we're not going to be on the list. So. If you're looking for English, and we have English, but we have a great English department, and that faculty member has contacted you and has helped you to make your decision and helped advise you before you even were admitted, that I only see that as help, as a positive thing.
Yeah, and I think that's true. I think I see it headed that way as well. And one of the subtle things that we've done here at Clarkson and in other places too, but is start talking about our faculty as our competitive differentiators, and that does a lot of things. It introduces some marketing language first, but also it plays to egos really, really well. And I know I can't overstate that enough, that it's really important to know that faculty have devoted their lives to their studies, and this is a deeply important and really critical endeavor for them. And so I think as marketers and administrators, we need to respect and understand that, and not look at it as an obstacle, but look at it as, you know what, you're right, you are the expert on this, you are the pro, and you are a reason that we can go out and recruit students of this caliber. And I like that idea a lot, and I think that for undergraduates, honestly, I think we haven't used faculty enough in recruiting, and I think it's changing a little bit, and it's so encouraging to hear what you're doing at St. Joseph's to kind of make that a different model, so that prospective students can expect to meet and greet faculty. And I think at larger schools that's probably a little bit more challenging, and in smaller schools it should be easier, but it's still the same fundamental challenge of getting faculty involved. And but yeah, I think it's the little things like just reminding them how important they are to the process. And I was a little bit ago asking about the idea of making those connections, and I think that increasingly faculty understand how important they are to the recruitment process, and also to the bottom line. It's a tuition-driven organization in most places, and so I think there's a growing appreciation there. That's why I'm curious about the faculty who are involved and where they see themselves. Do you think they're going to not just recruit other faculty members to participate, but ask to be included in other parts of marketing as well?
Yeah, I wonder that too. I mean, I think one of the topics here that has really been top of mind as well is about undecided students.
Yeah.
And how the faculty are really, I think, the #1 influencer when it comes to undecided students. And so I think that what the advice that they can give when someone's deciding between English and communications and their life story and the students that have come through their classrooms, and just explaining that kind of stuff, that's their value, and we can't do that. We need them to help us do that. So, and I'd like to see more faculty get involved, but some are busy, and usually it's the faculty that need more students in the classroom. So we'll just have to see if it catches on. Yeah.
It's always interesting. I know it's can be nerve-wracking to involve faculty in sort of the creative process specifically. But so you talked earlier about the sort of the services, the 5 service offerings that you have with faculty as part of this program, and some of that was development of marketing materials and creative materials. How much say do faculty have in that process and those specific pieces? Are you developing them hand in hand, or is it more, we'll get back to you with here's what you got, and take it and like it?
It's definitely a collaborative effort, for sure. I would say that we're probably doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and then and the creation, and then making sure that the faculty have input and final approval for anything. So.
Do you run into any unique challenges or obstacles with that process?
Oh, yes. I mean, when you ask someone to talk about their life's passion, you would want them to write a 4-page document, of course. But when you're doing something that's marketing and writing a letter to a high school student, you really only want a 1-page letter. So there's a lot of back and forth, and which again goes back to being time-consuming and having a person dedicated to doing this, because we do have to help edit their letters. We do, to be simplified and to attract a high school student, and so there's a lot of those conversations. And again, I think it's the mutual respect, it's the relationship development, and it's, you're the expert on science, but we are the experts on marketing to the high school students. So if we, together, our brains will make an awesome 1-page letter.
So talk a little bit more about that. I'm curious, because it's always a struggle to translate, I guess is the right way to say it, to go from what tend to be very academic and very, at times, literal and sophisticated and thorough explanations of things, and sometimes very difficult and complex subject matter, and then to take that and make it marketing, and then do it in a way that's palatable to the faculty who have described it in the 4-page version, and you give them the 1-page version. What are some strategies? I mean, you talk a little bit about that mutual respect, but how much compromise is okay?
It's a great question. I think that it has to be 50-50. It just has to be. And we are paying for the mailing to go out. We are funding this. We're helping to recruit, and it is our job to recruit, but we're funding this whole process. And so I think that doesn't make us the boss of the situation, but I think that does make us the experts on what the high school students will respond to. And so sometimes it's just not a full agreement on what the letter it just should be, or I'm using the letter as an example. But I think for the most part, I really haven't had that much difficulty. There's that much pushback when I recommend to make a letter shorter or less detailed.
Mm-hmm.
I really haven't had that much pushback.
Well, that's encouraging. I think. I wonder. I get the sense that mutual respect is growing simultaneously. Sophistication in marketing in higher education has improved dramatically over the past 10 years, and I think that faculty are starting to see the value of it. There's clearly an awareness that it's a competitive market, that we're all after the same people in a lot of ways. And
right.
So I think there's a willingness to let go of some of it if the results are going to be positive. I think that's kind of the idea, is that we need to make sure that we're doing it we have that shared value, I guess, going in. And so the objective is to attract these students, and these are the things that we know, these are the things that you know, and let's put that together and make something useful and meaningful, and just sort of clearly outlining whose role or what people's roles are at different stages in that development. So that's encouraging that it's going well for you. I think
when it comes to the things that are being produced by the admissions office here and that are going out, there really has been a lot of positive reaction from the faculty, for sure. I think a lot of the challenge sometimes has to do with our brochures used to be really long, and we did shorten them to be 2-page pamphlets. And so with the hope that and the call to action that if someone wants to find out more information about something, they'll go to the website. And so I think that's where the biggest challenge at our university lies right now, is with what's on the web and what isn't on the web as far as majors. But luckily, I have a little bit to do with that, but that's not my main responsibility.
I was going to ask about that. So I think there's I think the potential for there to be some disconnect in the marketing material that's coming out, and then sort of as prospective students and others drill down into the department level sites. I know I've never met anyone who worked in a university on the web at all who has said, nope, it's all perfect. It flows seamlessly from top to bottom, even down to the department level. So I was curious about how that worked out for you, and how much of the material that you're helping faculty put together they're reusing or finding new ways to promote through their web presence or the other things that they control.
Yeah, we're slowly working that out here. I do work very closely with our fabulous web team, and we got a new website about 2.5 years ago now, and it was a dramatic change, and it was a shock for the faculty. And a lot of their pages of content were dwindled into 1 or 2 pages. But we are slowly working on a plan to produce more content that is academic driven and faculty driven. And so we will hopefully be rolling that out in a couple months. And that really is a solution to reacting to the faculty being very upset about not having as much information on the website.
Yeah, that's good. That's I guess a good positive development and sort of a
Right.
yeah, that's excellent. So um, back to this idea of the literal versus the marketing. How do you see that being addressed through the partnership? It seems like there's the potential to um, I guess improve the back and forth communication between you and the faculty. So have you seen that improve? Has it gotten easier to communicate with faculty about using your language and their language? Has that gotten easier over time?
Yes, yes. I think that just opening the channel of communication and letting the faculty know that they can email us here at any time
Hmm.
has really helped. I get emails weekly from faculty on campus with some new key facts that they would like to highlight, and it's written in their language, and so they basically said, here it is, do what you can or do what you want with it.
Hmm.
Uh, so I think just letting them know that there's a touch point over here at admissions
Hmm.
has been wonderful.
Yeah, that's fabulous. I think I can imagine that being a really valuable process, not just for the direct relationships with the faculty involved in the program, but also in your and your staff's and your team's ability to communicate with faculty everywhere. It's sort of it translates pretty well outside of that too. So that's very, very cool. So
Yeah.
let's switch gears just a little bit and talk about the content that faculty are creating already and how that can be helpful. I know I worked with a guy at William & Mary when I was at the College of William & Mary. He used to say, faculty create so much content just in email. They answer the same question 15 times. I wish we had somewhere just to put the answer. And that was sort of the early days of the web and understanding that if we could just capture the conversations faculty are having, we wouldn't have to do anything. It would make our jobs a whole lot easier as marketers and communicators. So talk a little bit about what content faculty are creating that maybe it's been unexpected or has been extremely helpful, or where you're finding ways to use it.
Sure. So we have a new department, music, theater, and film. They existed, but they have conjoined to all the majors existed before, but they have joined to become one large department. And so they have been contributing to our blog, and instead of instead of it being time consuming for them to have to write these blogs and have them edited and things like that, they've really just been submitting pictures and a subject line to us.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, we did our play last year, or this fall, was West Side Story.
Mm-hmm.
And so they submitted 6 or 7 photos from behind the scenes, and we did a sort of BuzzFeed, if you will, type of blog.
Mm-hmm.
So a quick image blog with those, and used their subject line and gave them some funny kind of subtitles,
Mm-hmm.
and we're doing things like that.
Is that going to the faculty respond well to that? Are they happy to see that?
Yeah, they think it's hilarious.
Well, that's great.
And they feel thankful that I have explained to them that this is what people are responding to, the age group of students that we are trying to connect with, that this is the type of content that they are responding to. I mean, we know that all of us, not just a 17-year-old, we don't read as much, and we like images, and the content online is quick, and our brain processes images 60,000 times faster than a word. So just giving them that knowledge helps them feel, I think, confident in what we're doing.
That's very cool. So you sort of kind of mentioned there, but results. So when it comes to some of these efforts and convincing or communicating back to faculty, this works, this doesn't work. What are you doing there? How are you using data and measurement? I know you're still early in the program, but in my experience, faculty respond very well. Most academics in general respond very well when you can bring tangible evidence to the table. It's not a bad quality at all, and I think that's increasingly important across higher education, but particularly when dealing with faculty. So what kinds of things are you reporting? What kinds of things are they asking for? Just talk a little bit about that part.
So we have reported out some of our general admissions data to them, such as if a student attends admitted student stay, they're more likely to deposit than if they didn't attend admitted student stay. So when I have gone to these chair meetings, I have used graphs and data to kind of show them just some general admissions data. Mm-hmm. So what I'm hoping is that come this May, I show them some data on, okay, you reached out to, this student had this many touch points and they deposited. So, and those touch points include you reaching out to them here and here and here. Mm-hmm. And here's a student that only had 4 touch points or something like that, and maybe they didn't deposit, or do some kind of analysis on that type of data.
Yeah, that's really smart. I think that helps make the case not just to more faculty to be involved, but also to the higher ups at the university, saying this is a valuable partnership and we should invest in it. I think I say it every single show that funding follows success, and so you have to be able to demonstrate it before you can expect support for it. So I think that's
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I credit my former boss for that. But
okay.
Yeah. So with other parts of the research, particularly, I'm interested a little bit in social media and talking about creating content or building those relationships and using social media and using faculty populating, writing, doing things with social media and showing that students or prospective students actually respond to faculty presence on social media. Have you found that to be the case? Are you seeing anything of note there?
Yeah, sure. So I think I mentioned before that our political science department is very active on social media. And I should also mention that at all of our events, we use social media a lot, and we have screens, with our Instagram and Twitter post using a certain hashtag. And so we have very much encouraged faculty to get involved at our events. And so I definitely see some tweets happening and some social media exchanges happening, particularly during those events, that may have happened for the first time at that event and then have continued after that event. Mm-hmm. So a student that visited for open house that got a tweet from the political science department and then actually met with them at open house, and then they continued conversation on Twitter afterwards. I have seen that.
Oh, that's great. Excellent. So this is kind of a loaded question, but what advice would you have for someone interested in setting up a program for, like you have there at St. Joseph's? What kinds of things would you recommend on the front end of that, going into it?
Yeah, well, I think I would say to develop a communications calendar and plan for you talking to faculty. Mm-hmm. So how often are you going to talk to them? How are you going to keep in touch with them? How often? When? Is it light in September and October, and then does it pick up in March? When are the important deadlines that you need them to reach? Mm-hmm. Do you want to show them your blog editorial calendar and plug them in and hold them accountable to have the blog ready by that deadline? Mm-hmm. Do you want to how many emails are you going to send to remind them to submit their letter that needs to go out to admitted students? So really just to develop a timeline, mm-hmm. And then take a look at it and maybe bring in 1 or 2 faculty members to find out, is it too much? Is it too little? Are they going to be okay with it? It's all about collaboration. And then presenting that timeline to your pilot program, or the faculty that are interested in recruiting and that will actually do it with you and not feel burdened by it.
So do you think it's you think it's a good strategy to find a kind of a small group of easy to convert faculty, so those who are already interested, and sort of use that so that you have some success early on, or are you in favor of the strategy of finding the most difficult person and trying to convert them first?
Oh, I am for sure in strategy of finding the faculty that are interested and that want to do this. I think that then you will have better results after that, and take those results and then convince faculty that aren't interested with the results from the faculty that actually made the efforts, so that you have some proof of what's working and what's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess we're almost out of time here, but a quick question about vertical support for that too. So how involved are the deans and the provost and the university president, and does that help or hurt, or just talk a little bit about their involvement as well?
Sure. Our associate deans are very involved. They also, they are also included in this pilot program. They may delegate the work to someone, but they are definitely involved, and they want to be involved. They want to be in the know. They want lists. They want to know who's coming to what, and they're very much interested in how many students want to major in psychology next year. You know, that's a constant. So, as far as the deans of the colleges, they are also in the know, and some of them do like to contribute to our emails, some, you know, things, what do we call it, like 5 facts about the College of Arts and Sciences. They're involved in that type of content. So I think it's at that associate dean level, it's heavy, and then at the dean level, it's a little light, but definitely, they definitely know what's going on.
So does that help with accountability, I guess, sort of implied, if the associate deans and deans are saying this is a good idea, you should be more involved in recruiting?
Very much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very much. And so to go along with that, if the associate deans or deans are not interested or feel that they don't have time for it or feel that it's not their place, then typically the faculty under them are not involved. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How much selling do you have to do to associate deans and deans to get their buy-in in the program like this?
Well, my fabulous boss, that's more her area.
Yeah.
So she, our director, she's an assistant provost. She really is the person to cultivate those relationships. Mm-hmm. So I must say that this is really her brain, and I'm helping to execute.
That's very cool. So any other thoughts on involving faculty, or words of wisdom or warning to any of us who might be looking at other ways to get involved with faculty? I
think someone told me once, you know, never be intimidated by anyone looking over your shoulder, no matter who it is. And I understand that sometimes the feeling on campus is to be intimidated by faculty and not to ask for their help. But if you do it, I think you'll find that they're more willing to learn new things just as much as you are.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic advice. I think some of the most rewarding moments I've had in higher ed have come from working directly with faculty, from being a writer in the old days to working on the marketing side, just to see doing something well that helps the college or the university out, and seeing them make that connection for the first time as, hey, this brochure, this website, this piece of ad copy you're doing. And a couple of those early wins and a couple of those wins with some key faculty can really take you a long way. So it requires doing that, though. It requires a willingness to go out and explore, and a willingness to be critiqued by faculty who are extraordinarily good at critiquing things. And so, yeah, that's good. That's great advice. Well, Melissa, I wanted to thank you again for coming on. It's been a good conversation today about faculty, and hopefully more and more people will start doing programs similar to yours there at St. Joseph's to involve faculty in recruiting and finding ways to do them involve faculty in pretty much everything. And any viewers, if you have any thoughts on involving faculty or working with faculty, please just use the hashtag HigherEdLive, and we will jump on top of it. So once again, this is Marketing Live. Thank you for tuning in.